And now I would like to invite the opposition whip to outline and summarize the opposition's case.
You're right. There's limited time, there's limited budget, there's limited attention. Should government go with a mechanism that has failed in almost every country, and we argue has partially failed in the European Union and will not fit in Thailand? Or should the government go with a mechanism that will be holistic and attack the problem at every level of production? That is the debate this year. We're going to discuss this is the principal debate of what we should do and what we should not do. Because what we should or should not do in this case is based on the practical harms and benefits that come out of it. So this is a mechanism debate. So let me move on to my first class of this debate. Because the first class is what actually is cap and trade and how is it being implemented under their case. My first speaker came on and told you that their justification for this is that there's 80 CDMs in Thailand right now. Now, if they don't know the history, 80 CDMs have nothing to do with the cap and trade system. CDMs have only to do with the Kyoto Protocol by which international countries come and invest in developing countries and then get credit back. We say, therefore, this is an international mechanism. Imposing another cap and trade mechanism nationally in Thailand would not increase the CDM. Furthermore, if you want to increase the CDM, you can already do so in status quo. There is no inherent barrier. So let's look at the second thing they talk about. This idea that industries are the actual polluters at the end of the day. You may sit down, you can redeem later. But the first thing they talk about is that, you know what, we're not going to be in the European Union. But the first thing they said is, let's put cap and trade on construction, power, iron, and steel. How is that different from European Union is my first question. And my second question is, we told you extensively how agriculture is the basis. We told you extensively how this has failed in the Australian climate exchange, how this has failed with the MCX in India, how this has been stalled in Singapore and Japan. And the only thing they said it was in the POI was, European Union. But let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, even in the European Union, with my apologies to the delegate from the European Union, that in the second stage starting in 2008, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Council of Foreign Affairs written by Tony Johnson on February 4th, 2010, the emission increased from 3% from 2007 to 2008, even at the start of the second stage. But then the European Union can make mistakes. And I think when we characterize this to Thailand, when there's a situation, but it's even more bureaucratic, but it's even more please sit down, you may redeem later. So this idea that, Thailand has to move on. We agree. But this debate isn't just about Thailand looking good. This debate is about Thailand actually making a difference. This leads me nicely to my second kind of a clash, which is cap and trade versus solve the problem. Yes, you can redeem now.
Ma'am, under your model, you said you're penalizing the middleman. How would you do that when you're actually taxing the carbon emitter? Does middleman really emit carbon?
Yes, because they're the one who earn the profit, so you tax people who earn the profit. If you don't know how income tax works, then you fail, ladies and gentlemen. But even if that was the case, that somehow we impact the middleman at the end of the day, you still want to expand that kind of option in your third stage. So you're still going to do it. The question is, how do you take away that harm and socio-economic harm that you're creating, even under your case in your stage 3, ladies and gentlemen? We don't. So let me move on to the last item of today's debate. There should be no illusion about today's debate, ladies and gentlemen. No side is going to solve climate change completely, right? No sides are going to reduce completely. But we say this debate is therefore about how to reduce it to the most extent. But the most important part is how to actually encourage green competitors. This is why we tax, ladies and gentlemen. The good thing about taxing is that you can adjust it with proportion to how much money you need. And this is what my first speaker talked about. How much money you need to subsidize. How much money you need to balance out the harms. Because under your case, you're still going to have harms. So admit it. How are you going to deal with this harms from climate change if you don't have any revenues at the end of the day? And we think, if you see that Opus is giving out government bonds, clearly he needs a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. So the thing is, at the end of the day, your cap and trade system happens at a stage of every 4 to 5 years. Only after every 4 to 5 years, you can readjust the general cap, ladies and gentlemen. Not only have we argued that the idea of cap is itself scientifically wrong and impossible, we also think this is too much of a lag time to actually encourage clean industries to come up. Because clean industries, we argue, even in Thailand, any kind of grassroots movement is about the community level. You